That's what you do. You buy these clothes that cost me and make a difference in it. But we never do that.
Never complains, gets up, gets on with a smile on his face.
You just want him to sit in your chair and go, hip hip hooray, to the Western press and the Western narrative, regurgitating the same old, same old, same old, every single day, without the truth. If you haven't seen it before, please watch the first two episodes, the second series, something like Stallone.
We are on the site of the castle.
And it was the first time the Beatles had really stopped being semi-professional almost.
Look at that.
Absolutely fascinating.
Hello everyone, it's me again. But anyway, excuse me. I'm missing my team tonight, but I will catch some of it. You know, live play. That's the Azzurri. That's the Italian squad, or Squadra Italia. So that's me finishing around 9 o'clock. I've got a lot to say tonight anyway. All these spats and everything else. And another thing, ladies and gents, is that I've got this on my eyes, and at the side, especially this, this is my right eye. There's a thing, and it's going like this at the corner of my eye, not the inward, but the corner, if you know what I mean. And it's very annoying. I think it's to do with cataracts or whatever. And the optician said, he said, "You're a podcaster." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Listen," he said, "what you have to do," and he told me this even months ago. He said, "You have to wear sunglasses if these things come about." He said, "So if I were you, wear them." And the point is, if I wear them, I've got them here, look. And my eyes are, you know, it's not migraine. It's right across, and it's this thing that keeps going in my eye, the corner of my eye. Came on me just before I came on. So if you see me putting these on, it's not because, you know, it's that I'm in pain. And I just don't want anybody, you know, say they come in a little bit later, you know, just to view it. And I don't want them to go, "Oh, what's this fella like wearing sunglasses?" Do you understand? And that's why I don't wear them, to be honest, because we get lots of views without them saying anything. So I might have to wear them at some point. These would have got around me neck. Anyway, what have you been saying? Let's see. Simon. Good evening, Frank. On this poignant day, the 81st anniversary of D-Day, I found this quote: "They fight not for the lust of conquest. They fight to end conquest. They fight to liberate." F.D. Roosevelt. Yeah. And this is what it's about. Now, you've got to take that into context as well. You've got to ask yourself, who are they fighting? Who are they fighting to liberate? Who were they fighting? They were fighting the Nazi regime. That's who they were fighting. Now bear that in mind. They were fighting. They weren't just fighting ordinary Germans. They were fighting a tyrannical regime. A tyrannical regime. That's who they were fighting. And it wasn't like just the Jews that they had the final solution with. It was anyone with a disability. Anyone. Like me, for example. Now, I was never born with a disability or anything. Never. And yet, when I broke my neck, and it didn't come on me for about, when did it come on me? It came on me 10 years after I broke my neck. 10 years after. And then I was still active, still great, I didn't know, they said, you got a broken neck. Anyway, carried on. And it was only until about 4 years ago, just before COVID, that I started to feel the impact that the neck had taken. And I would have gone into wherever these Germans were putting them. Back frei, if you know what I mean. One of these concentration camps. Me. And people like me, and that's who they were picking up. And also ethnic minorities. Now, the ethnic minorities to them were Russians and Gypsies and anybody else who were from outside the Aryan race. That's who they were fighting. And I want you to bear that in mind for what I'm going to say later. The ability to compromise is not a diplomatic politeness towards a partner, but rather taking into account and respecting your partner's legitimate interest. Vladimir Putin, so relevant to Europe today. Brilliant. Brilliant. And I've got to give you my quote, which I think is one of the greatest quotes ever. And it's about the human race. It's about the human race. It's about you and I. Man is born free, however, he is everywhere in chains. We're all in chains. As soon as we come into the world, we're in chains. And it's these people who's put us in chains. And the only time that they undo the chains is to go to war, is to go to front lines where you're going to end your life. Your life will be ended. And that's what it's all about. The great actor David Niven, you're talking about D-Day, he went over, he was with his regiment, he was an officer. I think he was a captain or not a major, I'm not quite too sure. And he was on the landings. And he was nearly killed because he said a bullet went past him less than an inch, like a Trump sort of thing, just clipped his ear. Never clipped his ear, it just went past his ear. And he suffered from, ringing in the ears for a few months. That's how close it was. That's how close it was, or how close to death he was. So you see, these are people who was fighting tyranny. Almighty, I admire it. Hi friends, I'm fine. I admire it. Oh, lovely to see you, honestly. It really is. Smashing. And the Simon says, I admire it. Frank's thoughts on Trump. Musk talks acrimoniously and Putin has apparently offered asylum in Russia. Is this Putin's ace card to press Ukraine to end the war on his terms? Interesting times. That's incredible, isn't it? It's incredible. We were talking about this spat by Musk and Trump. Don't forget, you've got Trump who promised. I always remember Myra saying to me, "Do you think he will stop the war?" I said he could, like that. At the time, she said, soon as he came into, or he's just about to come into office in January. She said, "How?" I said, "Because he's only got to say, that's it. I'm pulling out of Ukraine. I'm pulling out of NATO. End it now. There's no more intel, the satellite thing. No more CIA involvement. No more of this. No more of this nonsense. We're pulling out and pulling all the troops out of Europe also. So you carry on." It would have been over. It would have been over. That's all he had to do. But now he's being dragged into it. It's like the Godfather, isn't it? One of the Godfathers, where he says, "I was out of it, and they dragged me back in." And this is what's happening to Trump today. He's being dragged in further, but he can stop it. I think he is. I think he's moving far away from what's happening in Ukraine. And with the spat with Elon Musk has come out, hasn't he? He said, "That's it, I'm going to pull Starlink out." And that's who the Intel, CIA, and especially MI5 depend on. And the worst thing that could have happened to Ukraine, it's not really Ukraine. They haven't got the manpower or the capabilities to go in and into these places, excuse me, as far away as Siberia. Brilliant the way it was done. Brilliant the way it was manufactured. But retractable roofs on, these wagons, these vans, whatever you call them, with the drones inside and let them go. But, again, it was exaggerated through sheer propaganda that there was 41 planes destroyed. It wasn't. It was in the area of between 5 and 7. That's all. Out of them all, out of the 5 bases. And they're trying to see what they're doing. This is just my opinion. We're doing that operation. They're saying to the West, "Look, we can still do this." To the Americans. We can still take on Putin now. We can still defeat them. They can't. It's impossible. It's impossible. It's like running a marathon. It's like running a marathon. You've got 2 miles to go to finish the marathon. 2 miles to get to that 25th mile. 2 miles. Whereas the person in second place is 15 miles behind you, and you're still going at the same pace. And in the last mile, you pick it up. Whereas that fella is still 10 miles behind you. Is he going to win it? Is he going to catch up? No. He's not going to catch up. There's no way he's going to catch up. Barry Aldrich, evening Frank and everyone. Hope you're all well. Thank you, Barry. Good to see you. And Simon says, "I heard some breaking news tonight. The Wirtz deal has been rubber stamped by Leverkusen. Could be up to 150. I know it's just ridiculous, the price. I know that he's coming over next week sometime. I don't know what day to have his medical. So it'll be all finalised next week. Simon. That's what I say. We go to football as usual. Toscana. Buonasera, Franco. Evening go. Buonasera, Toscana, cara mia. Good evening. Really nice to see you. Oh, I know. I mentioned it before. The Azori are playing tonight, but I'll keep quiet. I'll catch some of the game, to be honest. I will catch. It's the only one I watch. When Italy are playing and the Azori are playing. It's the only one. So thanks for that. Thanks. So scared. Good evening, Frank. Yo, Hong Kong. Says you what? That's brilliant. See the way you can easily be let down a path that's got a big door there and you can't get through it. And that was me last night. This lad's from Hong Kong. He even said about me mum going there at one point on a cruise, and she said it's just bustling. We couldn't get our way through the crowds of people, but they were lovely people. She actually said that, honestly. And the red bird. Wishing you, watching me. I think that's what it's all about. Letting on someone of that, which is lovely, by the way. Oh, the Scottish Bear. Frank just stopping in to say hello. I Bear, honestly. I'm glad that you're out, because we really need to see that you're there, you know what I mean? And the red bears, we worry about everybody on here. We really do. We really do. Get me haircut tomorrow. Yeah. I have my barber coming. He comes to see me, He phoned me up and he said, listen, Frankie, when are you getting your haircut? He said, you well overdue. I said, I know. And I was going to text him to say, listen, can you come? You can only come on a Saturday to me. So the Red Birds, Ed Trump and Elon, I thought we'll be talking a little bit about that. Be talking, to be honest, Red Bird. And Simon says, Frank, despite a Marmite figure domestically or geopolitically, do you agree that gorgeous George Galloway has said on the issues of Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Gaza, and Ukraine have come true? I think we've all said it, ourselves. George Galloway doesn't have to tell us. I watched George, I'm being honest, and I don't go live anymore with him, the live chat, because it's the same rhetoric every week. That's coming out, and he has more or less the same guests on. If he has a variety, I really do watch him, by the way. I really do watch him. And the guests are brilliant. Some of the guests are absolutely wonderful, especially when he has the likes of Colonel McGregor on and Scott Ritter. After Scott Ritter was invaded by the CIA and FBI, remember a few months ago, he went very quiet. I think he was warned, but now he's come back out of his shell. Because I think he's just turned around and said, I've had enough of this. I'm going to say what I do, what I really mean and what I want to say. if you know what I mean. I'm disappointed though, Simon, with Tulsi Gabbard. I really believed in her, but she said nothing. And she's head of Intel over there. See, I don't know who's saying what's a Trump. You know, the likes of that Kellogg. He's a complete and utter idiot, that man. Or he's very astute. He doesn't want this war to stop. He doesn't want it to stop. And he keeps bullying Zelensky up and Ukraine and all the propaganda. And he's in Klopsia. Not Klopsia, I'm sorry, he's in Trump. Why did I say Klop? He's in Trump's ear all the time, and he's taking notice of him. He's taking notice of him. What I couldn't get over was the likes of Starmer and Lammy. And they were actually, they really thought Kamala Harris was going to win the election. And they sent over 100 activists to join the. This is Starmer, by the way, and Lammy sending over 100 activists on the campaign of Kamala Harris. And they were calling him an idiot, they were calling him a murderer, they were calling him a misogynist, they were calling him for everything. And yet, Starmer, he talks to him. Albeit, I couldn't talk to anyone who's in front of me, who's called me all these names and whatever, and have a conversation with him. I couldn't do that. I could never do that. There are sly people out there, and he's one of them. And Lammy, what an idiot! What an idiot that man is! You've got John Healey. Who is John Healey? Who is he? A complete and utter unknown. And I wouldn't put him in charge of a sweet shop. Never mind the country's defences. Complete idiot. This is our government. You've got all this backgrounds with Starmer and Ukrainians, but not Ukrainians as in Ukraine. These are the other little young Ukrainians. I'd rather not go into detail what they are. And he's involved in that. A British Prime Minister who's do you know, I said this at the time when he first became an MP. You think about it. He became an MP and you had the likes of Jeremy Corbyn. And when you see them standing side by side, you had Starmer, and he was, there he is, in his all his finery, his suit, his tie, well-starched collar, everything. See him stand. And you see Jeremy. And Jeremy reminded me of Michael Foot going back many years ago, leader of the Labour Party. Remember, with his donkey jacket on. And that's the way Jeremy Corbyn was. So you see them standing side by side. And our deep state, they elevated Starmer. They elevated him, Keir Starmer, to what he is today. He's no politician. Hasn't a clue about politics. He hasn't a clue. And yet he's our Prime Minister today. And his number one oppo is Lammy, David Lammy. What a prat. What a prat he is. And that's the downfall of our particular government. I always thought that Liz Truss was the worst prime minister ever. No one could be, or no one could become any worse than her. This fella's proved it. This man, Keir Starmer, has proved it. But he's not running the country. It's the deep state. And they're telling him he is a proper puppet. He's like an AI. Put him in front of a camera and it's just coming out. But, you know, he wants to start wars and whatever. I've got two grandsons, the age of conscription. I don't want to see them being dragged in to a war for Ukraine. Ukraine. Does anybody realise that Ukraine was fighting alongside the Nazis? I don't think they realised that. And yet, they had them marching with our troops. And Charles going like that, giving them a salute. I couldn't believe it. These are Banderites. Every one of them. The Banderites. Nazis. Azovs. And that's the sickening part of everything. But anyway, getting back to your comment there and question about Gorgeous George, yeah, he is a Marmite. You know, he's got a lot of support. I support him, by the way, but I don't support his Workers' Party. I've got no. If I was politically minded, or well, I am, to be honest, and I wanted to become an MP, for example, and give my work at the box or whatever in Parliament, I wouldn't join a party. I'd have to go independent because all the parties there are useless. They're absolutely useless. But George, he goes on too much about a certain race, to be honest. He does, you know, with the likes of Iraq, Afghanistan, he doesn't really explain about the leaders. He just goes on about the people and, you know, the atrocities caused against them, which is right. But he should go on about Muammar Gaddafi. Muammar Gaddafi was great to his people, and that hardly comes out. Bashir Assad, he was good to his people. You have a look at Homs, for example, Homs, and what that city was like before all this. Beautiful city. All the cities were. That was the Assad family. That was the Assad family. They built up Syria. Look at it today. And that's all through America. That's America's fault. America was in Syria robbing the oil, stealing the oil every single day. Assad couldn't get rid of it. Now you've got the ISIS in. But al-Jawani in. A terrorist running the country. They spruced them up. I think it's shocking what they did. Shocking. And yeah, I, I don't know what's wrong with the world. Everything is mad. It's just mad. I can go back to the 60s and the 70s when you had proper politicians in place. Proper politicians in place. Look at the politicians today. There's only one man, and this is just my opinion, who's the adult in the room, and that's Vladimir Putin. Have you seen what he's done to Russia since he came into power after taking over Boris Yeltsin? He kicked out all the oligarchs, kicked them all out. All the Americans, he got rid of them. The British got rid of them because they were stealing all the resources. Stealing them of Russia. And he said, no more, come on, out. And he's built Russia. Stream Moscow, what it's like. I've been streaming Siberia. Have a look at their particular. I can't pronounce the cities, but just like go on to Omsk, OMSK, just and have a look at their city, for example. And I'll give you other cities. Have a look at them. They're incredible. They're incredible. I was talking a couple of years ago, funny enough, about when this first started, and he said, them Russians, though, they burnt down the churches, they did this. I said, they didn't. I said, they're a Christian country. Russian Orthodox Christian country. No. Oh, and I seen him when did I see him again? It was just before Christmas. I said, have you heard about what Zelensky has done to the Russian Orthodox churches in Ukraine? What? I said, he's desecrating them and imprisoning their priests, the Russian Orthodox priests. Have you heard about that? He went, no, he wouldn't do that. I said, well, you want to try and watch some alternative news? I was talking to a fella the other day in here. The next door neighbour brought to me. Okay, yeah. He said, don't you read the papers? I said, fucking me. I blew up though. And I shouldn't have. I've worried ever since, I just fucking blew up. I don't fucking know. Don't you read the papers? And to make it worse, he was an Evertonian. Fucking Evertonian. When he was introduced to. Fuck. Callum. Donald and his toy boy are falling out. I don't mind Elon Musk. Don't mind him. But he should never, ever, ever, ever have said about the Epstein files. That was like a spat between them. And he just came out and said that. Should never have said that. Should have left that alone. But I like, they tried to bring Russia into it, you know that, don't you? And he said to that Peskov, he said, what you think of it? He said, it's none of our business. Just like that. None of our business. And it isn't. It's like Ukraine. It's like Ukraine, not being funny. What business is it of Germany and mate. That mate is a fucking asshole. Sorry to swear, girls. His dad was a fucking Nazi. Same as von der Leyen. And even look at Kaya Kallas and her family. Fucking Nazis. You know, in the Baltic states. They were fighting alongside them. You wouldn't kick pigs, so would you? That's why the Soviet Union said, fuck you, you're not going to fucking do that again. And that's why they went right up to the border. They went into Austria. They went right into Austria. And then there was negotiations because Austria could have easily have become under the Soviet rule. Then there was negotiating. They said, well, okay, we'll leave that. But we're drawing a line here. There's no more fucking Nazis who's going to fight alongside these fascists. And that's why they had the Soviet Union. People, you know, they just think like the Soviet Union was a bink, it was there, you know, not looking into why. I'm not saying you, you know, on the chat, I'm not saying you, because you know the score. I'm saying other people having a fucking clue. Scottish. Along with Mao Zedong, you mean? Mao Zedong. Good evening, champions, says the Anfield. Anfield, do you know anything about electricity? I need an electric, I need a little spark. Not a big job or anything, it's just that some lights have gone out on me. And I need them, you know. So, if you know anything about electric, honestly, it's not like the major lights in rooms or anything. It's just like like fairy lights. If you could, if you know anyone, or if you could do it, come down, send you my address, and when you've got like a day off or anything, and have a look, or anyone on here, anyone. Good to see Jordan. I've got a World Cup with Uzbekistan. Good to see Jordan. I've got to the World Cup with Uzbekistan. Who's fucking Jordan? You know, you know, try and put names. You're not talking about Jordan Henderson, are you? That's annoying, that. It's like when, you know, they put these abbreviations up. What the fucking hell's that? What's that mean? The only abbreviations I know is the capital letters of FFS. That's it. I'm not having a go at you, Callum. The Anfield. Stayed up last night, watched in cap. Oh, I'm even more convinced we need him. I've been saying it all along, Anfield. You know that. You know that, mate. Let me know if you know anything about, you know, like fairy lights. That's if you know anything, how to fix them for me. Pay it, obviously, you know what I mean? No one does anything for me without getting paid. Nothing. Nothing. The Anfield. Because it's Friday night and the feeling's right. Because it's Frankie night. Oh, what a night. Oh, what a night. It was a great song, that, wasn't it? Thanks for that, though. Yeah, it was. Yeah, great, great song that. Oh, Lorna. Frankie Valli. Frankie Valli. No, Myra. Frank, Ukraine destroyed the Russian strategic bombers. What is the future of the start of the treaty? Strategic arms reduction treaty. 1 and 2. Thing is, they had to be left out. Now, I'm not being funny, but the likes of Zelensky and those tips, they knew nothing about that. And it was planning, and it was by MI6. The leaders in this was MI6, and Putin has already said it. This is the danger we're in. This is the danger we're in, what this man has fucking put us through. And our intel, MI6. They must think that we're all right, like me sitting here talking, and you sitting listening and commenting that we're all right. We're not. We're in fucking danger. We're in danger. And does Putin know? I'm sorry, does Trump know about this? Of course he fucking knew. But he's denied it. He's denied it. Because what's he after? He's after a peace prize. There's no fucking way he's going to get a peace prize here. And if he does, we know Obama got it. Fucking Obama. He's got fucking blood dripping off his hands. And he got a Nobel Peace Prize. You've only got to look at how an American became Pope. That's my religion. I was fucking disgusted and shocked. A fucking American, a Pope. Why? Why? There's something behind it. It's really annoying, honestly. People say, oh, it's intrigue. Oh, it's not fucking intrigue. It's dangerous. But I think it'll hold in place. It really will hold in place. Myra. That's the only way, for these treaties, so that these big nuclear bombers don't take off. That's why they're in the open. But they still have them hidden away. So does America. So does America have them. You all know that. And if you think that anyone, I'm not just saying you, Myra, that the likes of Britain and France, for example, excuse me, if you think that for 1 minute they can just go like that, press a button and a nuclear bomb will drop, they can't, because they have to get the permission of the Americans. Russia doesn't have to get any permission of anybody. China doesn't. China doesn't. And there's, Esket, that he's a divvy in. He's trying to pick a fight now. But not just Iran, but China and the South China Seas. Taiwan. You've got the likes of mates saying, not mates, Rutte saying that the Black Sea is important for NATO. fucking North Atlantic Treaty Organization. North Atlantic. And he's saying that it's strategic in the fucking Black Sea and the Baltic Sea. It's got fuck all to do with us. Or NATO. And this is the annoying thing. All these fucking people, unelected people, are all warmongers. They're fucking warmongers. What's the Black Sea got to fucking do with NATO? What's the South China Sea's got to do with NATO? Fuck's sake. It's just ridiculous. And the Baltic Sea. And all these little Baltic things, they're all full of fucking Nazis anyway. It's becoming untenable. It really is. And I think there's only one man who can fucking sort the lot, and that's that Putin. I'm not just saying that. Someone asked me, "Oh, are you a big Putin fan?" No, I just look at him as a politician, looking after his people. They said, "But it's fucking Ukraine or what?" I said, "They were Russian speaking. They had Russian culture. Russian culture." And Kiev regime said, "We don't want any of that." It's like in this country. All of a sudden, we were telling people like Chinese, for example, or anybody else with a foreign language, yeah, you can't speak that anymore. You've got to speak English. I love Chinese, and I love Italian food as well. So if I'm out, I'd either go to a Chinese or I'll go to an Italian restaurant. I don't like Indian food, so I don't go into. Or say if they're dead, you have these people speaking Urdu or whatever they speak. You have the Chinese, having conversation, with the waiters and whatever, the waiters in Chinese. You'd have the Italians to say, what if we said that? I said, no fucking more of that. No more of that. Do you understand? And that's what they did. They've got rid of all the culture. We did it years ago, We did it with the Irish from 1566 onwards. When Sir Humphrey Gilbert went over there in order to cause famine, and he scorched the land. And their Gaelic culture had to go underground. Everybody speaks English now. Everybody. And he started to, building. One of the most important things when you invade a country, you take America, for example. When Columbus got there in 1492, he said, fucking hell, look at this. Brilliant here. And then you had the Spanish going in, say like Florida and California on the west coast. So you had the east coast, Florida, west coast, right? So they were the Spanish, and you had Spanish architecture because architecture is a symbol of that particular country. And then in the middle of it, you've got New Orleans. The French were there. And New Orleans is the French quarter, and they've got French architecture. Then you go further north. And what you've got in, say, the likes of New York, Chicago, these places, it's all the architecture of this country here. here in Liverpool at the moment, the filming, I don't know what they're filming like, to be honest, but it's supposed to be New York. So our buildings are very much, well, the American buildings are very much like our buildings. Remember when I've said, if you've watched my history programme, that the likes of the Liver building was the very first reinforced steel infrastructure in the world, and the Americans went, "Fucking hell, look at that!" Right? I think we built loads of that, and they did. They built the Flatiron on a much million stories height to our Flatiron on the corner of Church Street and Hanover Street. Gerald's, of course, he's look at that. I think we built one of them, and they did. Massive. The Flatiron in New York, or is it Chicago? No, New York. See what I mean? So it's architecture. That's how you emphasize your authority, your stamp by architecture, and that's what they did in Ireland. I don't know where I went on about that. Sorry, I went off on a tangent. Listen to this, fella. Anfield Road. Red Bears, it's Friday and I'm on the bevy. She's gone the bingo with her mates. So I've ordered a Ruby Murray and I'm sipping down some alcoholic beverages while I wait for her to arrive. Frank, I don't believe in politics. All the bigwigs were bought decades, of course. Oh, corrupt. Oh, corrupt. Look, money is money. Money. Everybody needs money. Everybody. To sustain a life. But unfortunately, greed takes over. Greed takes over. And once greed takes over, there's no stopping. You want more. You want more. If you had £1 billion, say like you're 60 years of age and you've got £1 billion, £1 billion. Why would you want more? And you lived on your own. And yet you would want more. You're that way. You're not going to enjoy it really, because you can't enjoy the £1 billion you've got. You just want to make more. It's all greed. Even a working class person. I used to watch these people go in the betting shop. And I remember this fella, and I'm going back years ago, and he won like over £100. And I think it was the Ledger, St. Ledger. I don't gamble at all. And he won over £100. Oh, wow. It was incredible. Now, it was nearly the end of the race, and there was only about 4 of them, races to go on, another 2 meetings. And he lost every penny. Now, why didn't he walk away? Because it was fucking great, and that's what he never said. He said, I tried to win. I thought my luck was in. No, it's just fucking greed. You wanted more. You had a lucky win. You should have left that. It's just greed. I remember where I grew up, a fella, through this, he's only a young fella, he wasn't married or anything, He goes in the betting shop, gets his wages, goes in the betting shop and loses every penny. And I'm not mentioning this fella's name. You seen him crying. He was just walking past. He said, "What are you crying for, soft lad?" He goes, "I can't go home. I've lost all my wages." And this fella, God rest his soul, he walked in and he went, "Give him his fucking money back." He said, "I can't give him his money back. That's his wages. He can't even fucking go up. I'll give him his money and bar him out of here. Don't want to see him in here." And he got his wages. And this big fella with my hat, give him a backhander. He said, "If I ever fucking see you hanging about here on a last day of lads, so I'll come looking for you. Don't fucking go home. Give your mama wages." You see, so it's just greed. I hate greedy people. I'm not greedy. Never have been. Never will be. So it is Scottish. It's all greed, mate. Bribes. All bribes. Right, I'm going to go right down. Exactly, Frank. These plebs in charge of our country, they have no political experience. They are simply just elites who are completely out of it. The Yanks just run circles around. See, in America, it's so corrupt, it's unbelievable. I was watching, I think it was Philadelphia. Fucking hell, have a look at that. You've got all these drug addicts. Do yourself a favour later on. Just stream on YouTube Venice Beach in California. It'll come on like about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. And they said that they cleaned it up, from all these homeless people. And you see them. I was doing it this morning, I put it on. And you see them walking around with their worldly possessions. And you've got this mixture of homelessness and, people, whether they're tourists or just ordinary Americans as well, side by side. And I'm talking about, like middle class or whatever, just walking up and down that big prom. You just see different bodies, if you know what I mean. Then you see the joggers. It's a sight to behold, to be honest. Johan, Frank, Libya had free healthcare, free electricity, free education, and he turned the desert into a farm. Hillary and Obama went in and turned it into a failed slave state. They had him murdered. Muammar Gaddafi. Same as Saddam Hussein. Same as Bashar Assad. They were blaming everything on loads of red flags against Saddam. Bashar Assad. The barrel bomber, which was shocking. And he was blaming us on Bashar Assad. I even said he wouldn't be doing that to his own people. And, we all know that it was debunked. It's shocking to destabilise the Middle East, get rid of the leaders, and we'll destabilise. And that's what they did. and it is destabilised today. Good point that, Johan. Spot on. 100%. Frank says, Myra, Ukraine crossed Russian nuclear doctrine by destroying the Russian strategic bomb. Yeah, of course they did. And this is why they've had, I think it was a weak response, in my opinion. He's just doing the same thing that, has been going on anyway. I think what he should have done, and to frighten the whole of the West, was to Oreshnik, a couple of them, just drop them. That would just shut the whole of the fucking West up, man. Whether he's still going to do it, I don't know. Whether he's still going to do it. And that's what he should threaten them with. The Oreshnik. Because you've got everyone, looking at Putin. They're coming out now saying, the likes of us are saying, how many red lines is Putin saying that's a red line? He's been saying it for 3 fucking years, that's a red line, and they've been crossing it all the time. But that was a red line. But he's got to do more than what he's already done to say, fucking do that again. And this is what's going to happen. I really thought that he would have had a go at the Oreshnik. Dropped a couple of them. But, they're taking the battlefields, as you know. They're going further. If they take Sumy, that's the one major city just outside Kiev. The Americans like fucking Kellogg and these other idiots are saying, look how long it's taken them. They haven't even taken it. They're weakened, and not weak. They're the strongest army in the world now, and they've got the most powerful weapons. No one's got weapons like them. But I think this is just me. I think it's really getting on my nerves. I think Putin could have stopped all this. He could have just said, right, okay, gloves off, fucking get in there, get it all done and over with. And he could easily do that. One thing he's got to do, though, is take Odessa. He has to take Odessa. He cannot leave Russian-speaking people in Odessa. He cannot do that, and I don't think he will. If he doesn't, take Odessa, he's let those people down. He's got to get rid of the Nazis. This is one of the main reasons to denazify Ukraine. As I said at the beginning, who were we fighting? And one of the lads, I think it was James Simon, came out and said, it's the 6th of D-Day. Why is it called D-Day, by the way? It's called D-Day because it it could have been A-Day, B-Day, C-Day, because it went beyond the days and they just said, let's go now. And it was D. They go through the alphabet. Could have easily been the Z-Day, P-Day, S-Day, any of them. And it just fell on in the alphabetical order. D. That's how it could be. D-Day. IBR. Evening, Don Franco. Hope you're spiffing, old chap. There's a Scotch for me. Thank you. But you're right there, Myra. I've got to go back to Myra. You're right, they did cross it. But as I said, I thought the response would have been more powerful than it was by Putin. The Russian people are fed up with it now. You've got the Russian politicians. They're more or less banging the tank, saying, "Let's get this done now. Let's get it over with. We can't keep holding back much longer because Russian civilians are being killed. All the propaganda by the West about how Putin's, bombing hospitals and schools and loads of bollocks. He has done a school, he's done a few schools because he knows that NATO military. Look, Russia is fighting, they're not fighting Ukraine. They haven't got the fucking men to fight. They're fighting NATO. That's who they're fighting. And that's how, honestly, when I said at the beginning, if Trump would have said on his first day, get NATO out, get NATO out, and all our troops away from Europe, who would Ukraine be fighting with, or the Europeans? What would they have done? It would have been over. Even in John Franco, hope you're spiffing once, yeah, fire IBR. The Scottish Bear. Frank, just remember Joseph Stalin starved millions of Ukrainians. The Ukrainians thought the Germans were liberating them from Stalin. Pre-World War II was a dreadful time for the Ukrainians and Stalin. Well, Stalin was you see, it's all come out now very recently. All the propaganda against Stalin. All the propaganda. So who do you believe? So what you're saying, or what you've read, whatever you come out with, oh, they had to join the Nazis. They had to go into the SS and fight these horrible Russians. That's what you're saying. Think about that comment there. Think about Bandera. So what Bandera did, besides killing Russians, ordinary working Russians, by the way, in Ukraine, just like what these have done now. Just like what these have done. The Ukrainians, to Russian-speaking people, priests, journalists, executed them, thrown them in jail, thrown them on the front line. You either can die in here, or you can join the military and go and fight. That's what's happening to our people. So you had Ukrainians. That's what that system is. That's what that comment seems to me, unless I've read it wrong. So if that's what you're saying, so all the Ukrainians, these bandits who joined the SS, and I'm not just talking about fucking Ukraine, I'm talking about Estonia and Latvia and Romania, all these Baltic states, all joined. People don't fucking realise this. They're full of fucking Nazis, every one of them. So, see, don't forget that the Soviet Union, when was it formed? So you think the Ukrainians were doing fucking things like, look, I'm not defending Stalin, but there's been loads of propaganda. It's like Muammar Gaddafi. We've just spoken about Muammar Gaddafi. And if you fucking believe everything about Muammar Gaddafi and what was happening, you know, people did. Ordinary people, they've gone like that. Fuck off. He's horrible, that Gaddafi. He's horrible, that Saddam Hussein. I always remember John Pilger interviewing a girl, and it was during the attack on in 2003 on Iraq. And he interviewed this 18-year-old girl. And she said, our life is ruined with this invasion. She said, I was at medical school. I wanted to become a surgeon. That's what she said. I wanted to become a surgeon. She said, my two brothers used to play in the street football there. That's all gone. That's all gone. Now, don't forget that Saddam Hussein was, it's the proper fucking gander. Scottish, honestly. It's loads of propaganda. And what you've got is that's like the likes of Saddam Hussein was fucking murdering everyone. He wasn't. Education, that was his main priority. You know, women weren't second-class women as citizens. They were like that young girl who was studying in medical school to become a surgeon. That's all stopped now. That's all fucking stopped now because of the fucking Yanks and all their, you know, based on a fucking lie, as you know. How many other fucking lies? Look at the lies about Iran. Now, today, propaganda. If you believe in propaganda, it's not I can do. Nothing. Look at Liverpool. Look at my fucking city. Look at my fucking city. We've got beautiful architecture here. We've got beautiful fucking people living here. I don't know whether you've ever been to Liverpool, but all these fucking pricks are singing in your Liverpool slums. I don't fucking live in a slum. I've never lived in a slum. And this is what they fucking say to us. It's not propaganda. I fucking hate propaganda against anybody. Anybody. Once that lie starts, and it says a lie, propaganda's a fucking lie. And it's so annoying. It causes friction against people. Like the fella yesterday to me. Don't you read the paper? My fucking response. Even my next door neighbour, well, do you know what he tried to say, by the way? That the likes of podcasters are fucking idiots. He didn't know that I was a podcaster at the time. I said, oh, really, why? He said, well, they're coming out, you know, and saying about anything and whatever, and football. I said, yeah. Oh, fuck off. Then he brought up Ukraine and how bad Putin is. I said, oh, go away. I said, yeah. Tell me more. He invaded a country, and I gave him the famous question. I said, do you know Victoria Newland? And he went, who? I said, Victoria Newland. And he went, no, who is she? I said, well, you know, fuck all. You know, fuck all. And he didn't like that. In my fucking home. He didn't like. You know, Victoria Newland? Not this shit. You know, fuck all. You've got to know these people. You've got to know them. You can't have an argument if you can't back up. Because without Victoria Newland, Ukraine would have been living a normal life. Without the fucking West holding back of what Putin was saying from 2014, stop this immediately. The bombing and shelling of Russian-speaking people in the Donbass. Right, Frank just remembered Joseph Stalin. Okay, I've answered you, I think. I've answered. But I tell you what, though, he did go a bit mad against his own family as well. But that was in his later years. That was in his later years. And if he was that bad, they would have fucking got shot of it. Believe me. The Soviets would have got shot. Like they got shot at there. Like Khrushchev. You know, was Khrushchev a bad dude? No. I mean, Kennedy stopped the first nuclear war. They would have been toast. We wouldn't have existed. So that's one of the reasons why I hate fucking propaganda there. The way the propaganda is aimed at my city. And it has been for fucking years. And I'm talking centuries. Not just now. Managed decline under the Thatcher government. Football saved us from going into apathy, imploding into apathy. All through sheer proper fucking gander. And these fucking chants about us living in Liverpool slums. Horrible. Sign on, sign on. That fucking worked. Do you know what? I never used to swear, you know. Never used to swear. I've never once swore in front of any of my family. You know, my mother and grandmother and aunties and uncles. Never ever swore. Never used. And my family didn't swear. The only person who swore in my family was my grandmother. She pays up for the swear. Like a trooper. But it was mostly in Italian. Vangula! To my granddad. Vangula, your mum. But today, it makes me swear. Which is sad. Oh, I'm fierce, yeah. 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 How am I going to get in touch? Do you want me to put my number? I don't like put my number up here or email. because you get viewers, you know, snides looking in, and they could just go, oh, yeah, get this prick. Know what I mean? I'll be made up that, I'm feels, honestly. Thank you, Simon. There's a silly notion that failure is not an option at NASA. Failure is an option here. If things are not failing, you are not innovating enough. Elon Musk. I like Musk, you know, I really do. I really do. Musk and Trump are using each other. Research the Musk family deep involvement with the apartheid. Every fucking body. Everybody. There was nothing fucking worse with us and the Irish. It was awful. See, I'm not trying to defend anybody, but there's apartheid now. What's happening in Gaza? You know, there's no denying it. And, you know, even in this country now, what's going on? I'll give you some idea. I did a lecture, and I had to do this data and whatever, stats. I had to do the stats and whatever. And it was for, believe it or not, it was for percentage living in Liverpool. And now Liverpool grew. Fucking pain, just come on. How Liverpool grew through migrants coming into the city. And when you look at it, you had, at the time, I think it was around 87, something like that. That was this time. I said there's 85% of people of this city, 85% has Irish blood. That was then. That Irish blood has dwindled so much. It's dwindled. And I think it was around 2014, something like that. You know, before I was coming off for retirement. And what I was taught about, again, was the statistics of the blood. The Italians had, you know, that's my part, had 10%. And yet we had a little Italy. Think about that. A little Italy here in Liverpool. And through sectarianism, believe it or not. Sectarianism. You had the likes of Little Italy torn down and no more Little Italy. And that was by the council. Because it was sectarianism. I was growing up and, you know, as a kid, I was like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And we used to look at the Orange Lodge. And we used to boo them and everything. But before I was a kid, they used to throw stones at them. It used to be murder. And as we got older, you know, going to the pub And on the 12th of July, I used to just stand there looking at them, laughing. Because they used to pass the pub that we were in. And I knew one girl, she actually played, like the way they get dressed up and they sit on a horse and the long wigs, She played Queen Anne, William's wife. And I said to her, she was one of my students, because she said, can you talk something about sectarianism? I said, certainly will, yeah. So I did. And she said, I played Queen Anne. I said, go, I said, yeah. She said, yeah, go down. She said, now, where I came from, you're at Jerry Gardens and the Bull Ring. And they were very strong Catholic communities. And they had our pub. And our pub, obviously, we used to watch them going down London Road, the lodge, going into Lime Street to go to Southport, getting on the train. And here's what she said to me. She said, when we got by the Bull Ring, our drummers were told to bang, and especially the bass drummer, told to bang it harder, and also by Jerry Gardens. I said, go away. She said, I said, I got him with truth. She said, what to say? She said, don't get me wrong, I wasn't like, I was polite. And I said, did you know that Queen Mary was Catholic, by the way? And she went, no. I said, yeah. She was Catholic. William of Orange's wife was Catholic. Did I say Mary? Anne was Catholic. She was Catholic. She went, oh. I said, do you know Jerry Gardens? She said, yeah. I said, that's where I come from. She went, oh. So, you see these things, and all it is propaganda against my city, against anything. I hate propaganda because it's all lies, it's all misinformation. It's like what's going on in Ukraine today and the Azovs. But you're right, Baird, it's a big spat, but Elon's come out and said, I'm going to drop the bomb, and the bomb was that Trump was on the Epstein files. Shouldn't have said that. Sorry, Frank, says Barry Elders. My missus warned me she was a shopaholic, and I told her that do it yourself stood for don't involve yourself. Don't involve yourself. For that bears, I'm sure Myra, like my missus, out to get me. I did force her out, but what more can I say? I let her take the good. A mate of mine brought me down, cracking fella. He's a former colleague. He picked me up this morning, actually. Anyway, he brought me down a walking stick. That's a cracker. He said, yeah, I've got you now. I said, oh, please. But it's a brolly as well. And if you think about it, if it's raining, I can't use the brolly because I can't fucking walk. Use the balance. I'm thrilled. Of course, Frank, when she gets back from the bingo, I'll send her around to fix your light. I won't take your money on that, will I? but she's got my plate to wash. To wash before going, oh, you're an horrible man, you are. Johan. Obama dropped more bombs than Bush, and he gets a Peace Prize up and down. Yeah, I know, it's shocking. He's got blood on his hands. So is every American president. Eisenhower's pricky dicky, all the things said about Nixon. Nixon was good. Nixon wants a peace with everyone. He went to fucking China. He went to China. Chairman Mao, he said to America, he said, look, he said, don't get involved with Taiwan. It could be a dangerous thing in the future, not with me, but in the future. And he was even talking about NATO expansion, Mao. He said, you shouldn't be expanding. He said, it's wrong. He said, that could come, and one day it could cause a war. And look what's going on. Fucking war over the expansion of NATO. They'll use water to deplete the white European population. Accelerate. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's shocking what's happening. I was watching something the other day, and I couldn't believe it, what's happening in London, to be honest. There's only 30% of Londoners, if you know what I mean. 30. By 2040, they reckon that the British will become I don't know how to say this, the minority. I'll just say British, if you know what I mean. Will become the minority. I'll just leave it at that. Barack Obama says Simon, the same guy who failed Black America, promised to bring change, but mostly drove the country deeper into a ditch. Where were you to help the kids? And what does you do to stop the rise of ISIS? See, I had a kid. I had to get a taxi up the Aussie, and believe it or not, he was a kid. So where are you from? He said. So anyway, chat, and he said all this. He said the worst enemy for the kids is the Egyptians, not the Egyptians. Sorry. Egyptians, I'm sorry. I love your pyramids, that's a great to say. Is the Turks. They fucking hate them. I said, what about the Iraqis? So I knew that it was all propaganda, I didn't say no. And I said, well, what about Saddam Hussein? Wasn't they killing you and dropping bombs and everything? He said, no. It was the Turks. See, this is me say he was doing, and this is a kid. It's actually very, and I don't know. Again, it's when you look at proper. Look, I studied fucking 11 years of study. And you have to go through all this propaganda, drag it away. I used to go to Bodleian Library in Oxford. I had to study it. All the documentation, all the primary sources. And then you read newspapers. Remember the truth. The truth. What came out. What had happened on the 15th of April 1989. A few days later, the truth. Do you think I trust a British newspaper after that? The Redbird. But this seems to be common practice with the US foreign policy from Vietnam to Clinton, in the Balkans to Bush with the Iraq/Afghanistan to Hillary Clinton, and Benghazi. That was shock and Benghazi. All swept under the carpet. Everything is swept under the carpet by the Americans. The Americans, if there'd be no America today, there'd be no wars. Think about that. That got deleted. I said that on someone's, I don't know. You can't say anything now unless it's deleted. You know, on YouTube is full of, I forget, I don't know whether it was George Galloway or what. And I just said, oh, there'd be no America today, there'd be no wars, and it was deleted, put it up. They can even get you before. It surprised me. I was putting something up the other day, forget, was it Judge Napolitano or someone? Or was it, I forget what it was. And I was putting it on, and it just disappeared. Before I could add, just disappeared. And I was looking for it everywhere. Couldn't find it. But it did say I was making a comment, and it was deleted even before I could try and put it on. That went on. Stated. In court today, the arsonist/male models who have targeted Prime Minister Keir Starmer. The media silence is deafening. This is a story that should be highlighted, yet the SMS, mainstream media ignore it. All three men appeared together in the Old Bailey for a hearing. A trial date was set for April 2026. They remain in custody pending the trial. And that's from David Owens, who is, in my opinion, the best archivist ever. The research that man does. Big up Frank, says Edward. Hiya, Edward. Joanne Kearns. Brilliant story, Francis. Hello, Joanne. Hope you're well. I mean that. Simon. Wealth and poverty. One is the parent of luxury and indolence, and the other of meanness and viciousness, and both of discontent. Wise words from Plato. He says one of the best ever quotes, and I've mentioned this a few times. Plato. No one is more hated than he who speaks the truth. Think about that. IBR says they seem to be nudging towards it. If we had a full-scale nuclear war, we're all fucking dead. We're all dead. There's a film called Knowing, and if you look at it and look at it as not, I'll just fucking watch it. Put it that way. Just watch it if you haven't seen it. And it's telling you the story, honestly. It's brilliant. In my opinion, it's prophetic. Knowing, like knowing me, knowing you. Right. Just like that. Knowing. Lovely Tuscan. People complain about Russia, but they've got more freedom. I know this fucking fella yesterday. He said, "Oh, you need to." And I said, "Well, listen, do you know, is there any Russian journalists in Washington or down in London or anywhere in Western Europe for that matter?" And he went, "No." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because of that war." I said, "Oh." I said, "Well, do you know that the BBC and ITV and every fucking one else and people from the Daily Mail and Express and fucking Mirror are in Moscow and at conferences there and big sessions that Putin gives? They're there asking questions. Did you know that?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "And you're fucking talking about democracy here? Where's the democracy to ban journalists? Is that democracy to you?" Do you know what I fucking said? Fuck. So you're right, Tusker. Ideas are more powerful than guns. We would not let our enemies have guns. Why should we let them have ideas? Joseph Stalin. Exactly. Exactly. And it's only what's going on today, isn't it? This is what Putin's more or less said there about what Joseph Stalin said, Simon. They wanted to, if fucking Zelensky's coming out, "I want a 30-day ceasefire, or a 60-day. Can you give us a 60-day? Putin went, "Fuck off," so that you could rearm. Just like it. And people are saying, "Oh, should a fucking Rutter, he's a fucking nuisance, him." I thought Stoltenberg, leader of the NATO, I thought he was an arsehole. This fella's a fucking bigger arsehole. How can you get arseholes? And Mertz was made a show of, wasn't he, by Trump? And they said, "Well, we need." So you see, it's just It's just the way things happen, if you know what I mean. With the likes of Ukraine. Who is Ukraine? What are they? What fucking fighting alongside the Nazis against us? My dad was a fucking officer in the Navy, special boat service. Used to fucking dive into fucking things and blow up fucking submarines and their submarines, battleships and things. Nearly killed 4 times. Nearly drowned once. How would you think he'd fucking feel? All these fucking people walking in our parade. The bear, Frank. I know my history, my friend. I researched big time. And I have been to Liverpool season ticket and I'll feel for that. Not now, not fit enough. Frank, Scotland, get it bad. I know they do. I know they do. But not as fucking bad as we get there. Suppose you fell out with me now. The Azori are getting smashed. Takes a lot. So when you to come and fix me light. The bear. New London infrastructure was built from Scottish oil and gas. We see nothing up here, and are treated as bad as any city down south. Well, you blame Thatcher, don't you, for selling us off to Texaco, the oil and the gas. Thatcher. Managed to decline us. Theresa Gorman, Tory MP, said, let's build a wall around Liverpool to show future generations how people lived. I remember the BBC doing a topic on Liverpool. Fuck all to do. It was just an ordinary day. Look northwest. I've appeared on there a few times. And that given other reports. But it was something like, I forget what it was. Something trivial. And it was about the Mersey. Now, what was it? I forget what it was, but it's, the Mersey, something to do with the Mersey. And the next was the report, you see the reports are stunk about it. Hello, yeah, well, I'm here in Liverpool. And in the background, you didn't see the fucking Mersey. What you seen was a block of flats, like built in the 50s, that were coming down, big holes in the roofs. And it was already being demolished and smashed windows. And what the fuck is he standing there for? What kind of image is he showing? Simon, Frank, I never knew there was a little Italy in Liverpool. I always wondered why this was the case. When you get an opportunity, it would be nice to learn more about the history of the Italian influx. My grandparents lived there. And so you had the Irish Quarter. And then when the Italians came over, the Irish Quarter were already there, and when the Italians came over, they just went by, and it was only because of religion and the nearest church, Catholic Church. So you had the Irish Catholics with the Italian capitals, side by side. But the Irish was in the Irish quarter, and where the Italians lived. I'll show you a few photographs. I'll get them up. And, you know, you had, I used to go down to this chippy called, we used to just call it Chiaps, and it wasn't always Chiapi. And we used to go there. And what we used to get was the gelad, the ice cream, besides the chips. So what the Chiapis brought over was the ice cream. The ice cream. But he also had, you know, we were just fish and chips people, if you know what I mean. I was a kid, little my kid going to chippy, you know, getting the chips for the tea. And what else they sold was the pasta already done, you know. So if you wanted like a plate of or whatever, you know, bolognese, not bolognese, not that they never done bolognese or anything like that. But if you wanted a plate of pasta, you know, with the sauce, yeah, you have it. So you see, he brought the cuisine. He also brought a lot of colour, bright colours. And the Irish brought the folk songs, but we also, the Italians also brought the barrel organs. Brilliant cuisine. I remember in our house, what was his name, Caruso, was always getting fucking played on this like radiogram, little crackly thing, you know, records. Simon LFC 97, you never walk alone. Us Italians get everywhere, says Toscano. Absolutely. My dad was of New Zealand. The old girl. Myra says to the bear, the thing Trump and Elon are horses and ponies show of distraction. There's lots of distraction on anything. And Simon says to Tosca, indeed, just like my fellow brothers and sisters from the Green Isle helped build the major UK cities. Yeah. You know, people, you know, they talk about the navvies. You talk about the navvies. And they built the railroads, they built the canals, the navigators. They could navigate through anything. The navigators. So they just shortened the navigators down to navvies. Without them, there'd be a setback. The Irish navvies. And Myra says, they want war to cancel the USA debt. I tell you what, it's trillions. It's gone mad. It's gone mad. The way it is. And this is what Elon Musk wanted to bring right down. Elon Musk said, you know, he brought Doge in, Trump. I think it was Elon Musk's idea. And he was saving billions that USAID. USAID was giving billions out. Ridiculous. I thought, they gave someone money. It was fucking millions. Some little African some country, some like township in Africa, and they gave them millions to build a school, and they went back. Well, this documentary crew went back to see how the school was going on. It was never fucking built. They had no money, and it was the same shack, sort of, that the kids were sitting in, being taught. Why isn't Africa irrigated? Could easily be irrigated. Because money goes there. Been going for years. And I'm talking billions. Trillions, if you go through the years. Where's it all gone? And I'm not talking about, I don't want to get into it. It could easily be called a fucking racist, and I'm not. No, far from it. Toscana, Simon. If you go to New York, a lot of buildings were built by the Irish and Italians, including Brooklyn Bridge. The Italians get a terrible name as well. It's a shocking name to get. WAP, you dairy WAP. Now, WAP, the American customs sent a telegraph over to Liverpool and said, can you fucking help us here? Because the migrants were leaving Liverpool to get over there. He said, because it's taken days for these people to go through. They've got nothing. We don't know who they are. Is there any way that you can help us out? And our lads were like, well, okay. I'm talking about Liverpool, man. Our customs here. He said, okay, what we'll do, we'll put labels on them. We'll bring the people in. If they've got papers, we'll leave them. If they haven't got papers or passports, we put a label on, WOP. And that was it. Without papers or without passport. That was what the WOP was. And they sorted it, and it was a great idea, because when they got to Ellis Island and they were going through, they were just saying, you get over there, you come here, you get over there. And it was sorted like that. But the Italians got a terrible, terrible name. And this is why the mafia, the Nera Mano from Sicily, they wanted to look after the Italians. I've read too much about the Italians. I've read too much about, like the mafia, for example. Look at The Godfather. Because the fucking police wouldn't do nothing for the Italians. Did you know that? They fucking hated them. They hated the Italians, the migrants. This is where all this WAP comes in. So they used to have to fend for themselves. There used to be break-ins, shops, and people running in, non-Italians running in and stealing off them in little shops. So the mafia were like that, okay, if you want us to help you, but you'll have to pay a premium, just like a fucker paying insurance. They called it extortion. Remember the Godfather, where this fella's, he was an undertaker, And he said, my daughter's being violated by two. I said, okay, we'll sort it for you. But you will owe me a thing when I need you. And he said, okay. And the mafia sorted. Police wouldn't, because they fucking walked out from court. It tells you the story. It tells you the story. The Italians had to look after their own and themselves. They had to set up businesses to give people work. So you're right there, Toscana, Brooklyn Bridge. But the people who built the likes of, surprise you, the steel erectors on the likes of the skyscrapers were none other than the indigenous American native. Besides other workers, like. But they were on them fucking beams being brought up. And I'm walking on them. Seen them walking along. Just some of the pictures, footage is unbelievable. And the bear, Alan Watts cutting through the matrix. He is the greatest historian with the fact. Sadly, he's no longer with us. You should look him up, Frank. Don't be confused with Alan Watts and different bits. Alan Watt and Alan Watts. I don't know whether you're aware of this. I should have done something with that Neil Oliver. Did you know that? But the head of the BBC says we can't have him, mate, because of his accent. I should have been on the BBC doing a series. Well, I haven't more these, have I? Should do, really. Fucking let's kill him. See, people could have been looking at me and going, look at this fella. See what I mean? That's why I had them. No, that's just eased my eyes. That's eased my eyes. My eyes are closing over. No, my eyelids. Terrible. Is the red bird gone? Another great show, Frank. Got to go. Pop off. Catch you all next time. Good people. Thanks, Redbird. I know that you've well done now. Thank you. Take care, legends. Have a good night. Says Johan to the red. The Scottish. Frank, I ain't falling out with you, mate. Just a small difference of opinion. I agree 99% with what you said. Thanks. I know you're a rhino, you say. You're like myself, to be honest. You're a rhino. What I mean by a rhino, thick skin. You get people with very thin skin who take offense. My daughter said, Dad, you tell people to F off. I said, no, I don't. I said, they can't take it in the contest. Oh, fuck off. My daughter, I won't swear, I'm trying not swear in front of her. You know what I mean? That's deal done, apparently, says Barry. Yeah. Yeah, I need football. Ozan Kabak, yes, he played centre back. Can't get any. Algie Frank, quick question. Where does the word Anfield originate from? There's a few interpretations, right? A few interpretations. Funny enough, Irish. And Fields, fella named Fields, right? So, so this land that he had was just called after the store Anfield, so they shortened it, Anfield. That's one of them. That's one of them. And I forget the other one, to be honest. But it's just, I just go along with Anfield, to be honest. The name of this Irishman who owned this land, a fella named Fields. And they were Fields. Oh, that's right, yeah. The other one was just Fields. And they just said Anfield. And when they were putting out these little boundaries, Anfield, couldn't call it Field, just couldn't call it. So they said Anfield. So you come to your own conclusions. And that's in our history books. But I read. I'll be doing this next week, all the names. Going in a hat. And I'm going to pick one out. And that's yours. Mo Salah's autograph. So, see, someone mentioned it. He said, hey, Frank, well, what's that? That's his number 11. That's the number of his shirt. Number 11. How does Anfield get it today? You said for gender. Oh, I know it's. You couldn't pick a more Muslim state than Pakistan. That's where Elon Musk says enough's enough. Everything's not going up. Enough's enough. Do you know where this fucking fella was supposed to come on? Not tonight. I wonder if he's being abducted. He's been standing there and up it's there in the way. But you're right. See, I don't like all this wokeness. I really don't. I really don't. Frank, it's lovely the way you express your family history and traditions. You must be very proud of part of your father plays and sacrifices made during World War II. My granddad was battle scarred by it. I think they all were, They all were. If you could imagine, get onto this. My uncle Frankie, Shall I tell you? Yeah, I'll tell you. Could you imagine, as a 17-year-old, in 1939, 1940, something like that? No, he was 18, wasn't he? He was 18. And he's seen his siblings, like, like my mother and whatever, my aunties, his little brothers, his parents and grandparents who were frail at the time, being rounded up by the police and thrown in vans and whatever, Black Maria, and being taken to an internment camp for aliens. Not only happened to the Italians, it happened to Germans as well. Now, could you imagine as a 17, 18-year-old, he's standing there looking at, and the little girls, were screaming, grabbing hold of him. Don't let them take us away. His parents crying. His frail grandparents crying. How do you think he felt? And do you know what was said to him? You're going in the fucking army. How do you think he felt? They were sent to the Isle of Man. How do you think my Uncle Frankie felt? I'll tell you some other time what he said to me as a, when I grew up. And it wasn't nice what he said, to be honest. But, some would say, I don't fucking blame him. What he said. It's not only that, it's like other families and cousins and being taken away. And all the young men, going in the fucking army, you lot, in the British Army. I interviewed a fellow, and he was the only naval living VC at the time, Lieutenant Commander Ian Fraser. And he told me a story about how we got us, how we got us here. Victoria Cross. And he was in a midget boat, them little U-boats. Not U-boats, sorry. Little midget submarines. The little midget boats. And I was to take out a ship called the Takao in Singapore Harbour. The Americans couldn't do it. They never had a fucking clue then. This is the same fucking Americans that won the war that Trump said a few weeks ago. Right, they couldn't do it. They never had a clue. So they asked the British. And my dad was in the SBS, as I said, Special Boat Service. And they were over there. But this Lieutenant Commander Ian Fraser, he was in the subs, the mini subs, the little one, midget subs. And I'll tell you that again. If anyone reminds me, I'll be doing a history show on Monday. I could tell you that now, but I have to finish. I really do. It's a great story. It's a great story. how they did it. Mini sub to blow up the Japanese battleship in Singapore Harbor called the Takao. That was taken out all the Americans. That's why the Americans said we can't fucking get through this fucking thing. It's on everything. But there was one fella on this mini sub, and that's the crux of the story. That's the crux of it. And you'd be made up with it, Simon, and not made up. It's a juxtaposition by going, what? And going, great. Do you understand? My advice is, listen to it on Monday. That's brilliant, though. Yeah, and that's where the propaganda comes in. If you feel pain, you're alive. If you feel other people's pain, you're a human being. Think about that quote. Think about the opening line of Wilfred Owen's Anthem for Doomed Youth. The title, Anthem for Doomed Youth. It's like what these young lads who are being dragged off the streets in Kiev and sent to the front line after 2 weeks fucking training. They're all dying. What passing bells for these who die as cattle? And think about what the other fella said. Rudyard Kipling. If any question why we died, tell them because our fathers lied. This Kiev. Good show tonight, mate. Thank you. Spot on there, yeah. The hanging field. Because they had the gibbets there. I didn't want to say that actually. But they had the gibbets in where Arkell's Lane is and where the pub is. They had 6 gibbets going down like that. This is Arkell's Lane, right? And they had the gibbets going down. 6 of them. And when, they were brought to their execution, he says, where is he going? Is he going up to London? Going to London Road? No, there's only one gibbet there. There's fucking 6 of them. There's 4 of them there, so we'll have to bring them up to hanging fields. Didn't want to say that. So the hanging fields became Ann Field. And the gibbets went. And the gibbets, as I said, were in Arkell's Lane, where the Arkell's pub is. You got me on that, didn't you? Right. So rather have just said Anfields. But with, as I said, there are all different theories as well. Simon. There's a suggestion that the name may be linked up to the influx of the Irish immigrants into Liverpool in the 1850s and the name of Anfields. That's what I was trying to tell you. in New Ross County, Wexford Island. Yeah, that's what I said. And it was an Irish fella who bought a land. I'll tell you what I'll do with you Irish. I'll talk about, I'll pick a night and I'll talk about the Irish from 1566 and Sir Humphrey Gilbert's experiment by going over to Ireland. And that's where you've had your problems from, 1566. And the 6, believe it or not, famines. The last one being 1845. The first one being 1566. And the ones in between. And what did George Bernard Shaw say about the 1845 one? How could there be a famine when the country was full of food? Let that resonate with you. I'll do that. I'll give you the date on Monday. I'll give you the date on Monday when I'll do it. I'll just pick a night. Get this fucking football out the way. Johan. Frank, please correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the Jewish mafia far more sinister than the Italian mafia? Also, they raise money for Zionist organizations. You took it away. I've already seen this. And you took it away. Yeah. That's where you got your Zionism today. That's why Charles Luciano, Lucky Luciano, he said, we have to have them on our side. So we brought in a fella by the name of Meyer Lansky. Meyer Lansky. Keep him close. And Meyer Lansky, as you know, was Jew. And he was in the Luciano mob, as they say. And it was Meyer Lansky, believe it or not. You know Al Capone, Alfonso Capone. You know Al Capone. That Elliot Ness, take no fucking notice. There was a fella, he was another FBI agent called Purvis. And he never got on with Ness. And this Purvis was brilliant. And he just said, fuck you, walked away. There's a loads of story behind it. And they couldn't get older. They couldn't get older, if you know what I mean. The likes of Capone. He was running a mob in Chicago. The family, the Luciano family, the other 4 families sent a little delegation to New York and said, listen, you know, you've got to join the New York family, you know. And you'll be okay. And he said, oh, fuck off. But why would it have anything to do with New York? Because I'm okay here now. So they couldn't get rid of him. They couldn't get rid of him. You know, they didn't, the mafia themselves, they didn't want to fucking cause trouble by getting rid of him. The mafia way. So they went to the FBI. And Elliot Ness were the biggest phonies ever. You know, they built him up again, propaganda. Oh, we've got to make him a fucking hero, you know, rather than. So they, excuse me, they asked Ismail Lansky, and he said, "Do you know how to get him?" I said, "No." "Get him on tax evasion, you'll be all right. Just fucking look him up. Here's a few papers here. Just look him up." That's how they got him. Never have got it. And the likes of Frank Nitti took over, and Luciano went again. Well, delegation. Listen there, and he said, "Oh, fuck off." But he okay. And he ended up under the, the metro, the train there, Frank Nitti. And on that wonderful score, I'm going. The whale breaks everyone, and afterwards some are strong at the broken places. Ernest, great Hemingway. Great. And the greatest, not my greatest, honestly, it's not Men in Chains, I love it. I love it. And there's Oscar Wilde and the Bloodsports. And I love this quote. And he said, "The unspeakable in pursuit of the uneatable." They're the hunters. So I'm going to go with, boys, Russia has offered Elon Musk a shot. Do you know what? I know that might sound like a joke, but you know the way he wanted to get rid of Trump, didn't he? They tried to assassinate him. They tried to get him in jail and everything. And I think they'll fucking do it to him, Elon Musk. So I wanted him to buy Liverpool Football Club because he's got family ties in Liverpool. I don't know whether if anyone's aware of that. And he was interested in buying us. That's incredible. So, Franco, another cracking night. Thank you for taking the chat. Even though you are in a lot of discomfort, your wisdom knows no bounds. Thank you. I've got the arms killing me. Yeah, dormi bene, sadly, Doro. Yeah, I will get me sleep at the appropriate time. My sleep pattern's fucking terrible. It really is. But thank you for that, Simon. Mille grazie. Amico mio. Mille grazie. Barry, Frank and Raw, do you want me to give you my number and I can pass it on if you feel you can trust me? Barry, yeah, please. Please, yeah. Are you going to do it now? I can trust you, yeah. Yeah, please. See, if I put mine up, I've been hacked on everything, and it's been shocking. So there's no way I can put my number up or my address. So I come and kick me head like the Scottish bear. Only a joke. Take care, Frank and fellow legends, says Johan. Have a great weekend, everyone. Another great stream, Frank. Thank you, Johan. Johan, ex-Hong Kongian. He was a Hong Kongian for about 3 minutes. I was tittering at that, when the show finished. It was tittering. So if you're, Barry, how are you going to? I can pass it on. Yeah, just give me your number anytime, okay? So I can get over there, hold it. And I can give you my, I trust every one of you to be. See, who I don't trust are the people, like, it's not just you on there, it's other people. Know what I mean? Who will look in, they go, got his number. I'll be harassed, as they say. We say harassed. So anyway, thank you everyone for keeping me company tonight. I really mean that. Where am I here? I'm sorry. Yeah. For the lekker. Yeah, Barry. Yeah, because, the Raw said that he'd come and sort it. He said he'd come and sort it, which is great. Don't give your number to the MI. It's strange the way, I was talking actually to Daniel Craig's, that's how I was interviewing him, and Grandad, fucking, what a story. Ian Fleming's mate. Daniel Craig. Put it in the comments so that it doesn't get broadcasted, says you. That's a good idea. Only use mine to receive orders from the missus, says. I'd love to give you mine, honest. Lovely Tuscan. A lot of subjects covered tonight. Cheers, Franco. Musk's mum was from Liverpool. Night to you all. Have a great weekend. See, Zaffa Scouser. Hello. No, even before I knew all about it, man, the connections with Liverpool, I've always liked it. I've just liked it. But, you'll get all no matter what, you'll get all the snides coming out and he agreed with apartheid and he's a big racist and I seen a little documentary on, and he used to go into a cafe, and there was a young black girl, and serve it, like cleaner. She cleaned, and then she served as well. So she had the two jobs, and she was standing outside this day, waiting to go in, and he came up, rolled up, and he was put to buy his coffee, and he said, "Oh, hello." He said, "You work here, don't you?" She said, "Yeah." He said, "I've seen you cleaning and serving." She said, "Yeah." She said, "I really need the two jobs, and I'm a single mom, and I really need the 2 jobs. And he said, so you're at hard work? She said, I don't mind hard work. She said, it's nice here, you know, they're nice people. Right. He said, okay. And he went in a few weeks later. And she was getting abused, this girl, off 3 lads, young fellas. You know, getting abused. Anyway, you know, as they were sitting there, whatever. Now, I don't know whether she was cleaning or she was serving them. I don't know. Forget now. And he waited for her to finish. Waited for it. Well, he never. He told one of his assistants, he said, I want you to go to this particular cafe and wait for the young black girl. There's only here. He said, bring her to see me. And it happened, you know, cut a long story short, gets to where Elon Musk was. And he said, do you still like working? And she said, yes. She said, you know, they're nice people. But he knew about that little abuse, but he never mentioned it. And he said, how would you like to work here for me? I'm just doing 1 job instead of 2. And a lot more salary than what you do, what you get. And she couldn't believe that. To see, like, she just thought that he was an ordinary fellow who used to go in and buy a coffee. Not the richest man on the planet. And he made that girl very happy. There's your racist for you. There's your fella who agreed with apartheid. Still got the Scouse blood in him. Grazie, Franco. Grazie, idea. Pictures of my old school and house on the Park Hill Road and one of the podcasts, says Barry Albert. Pictures of my old school and house on Park Hill Road and one of the podcasts. That one about podcasts. Mustn't. Sorry, Johan, already dead. So, did he give you a number? I don't know, you see. Just having a fucking clue. Right, so. Oh, the jingle. Yeah, it must have been there. It must have been, yeah. It was my birthday last month, and Jason got me two great photographs framed. And it's where I grew up. And I've got them hanging on the wall. Because I've got watercolours, you know, on my walls of, you know, certain paintings of Liverpool. I'll have to show me wall there sometime. Got a canvas of the castle. I've got a canvas of Speak Hall. So anyway, ciao amico mio. Say sad. Ciao grazie amico mio. And on that wonderful note, I'm going, and I'll see some of you most probably tomorrow morning, which is for the film and TV review. Fucking hell. See, you again, is it? My number is on prior to the MI6 comment by IBO. Is it? Is it? I'll have to go and get it now because once this goes, I can't fucking get it. So I'll give me a moment. Sorry, I can't find it. Anyway, I'll have to go, boys and girls, and see if some of yous tomorrow. See some of yous on Monday for the history show. See some of yous on Tuesday for the draw, for the thing. Some football, most probably. It must be. I haven't found. Barry, I think the software doesn't allow phone numbers to be shown. Thank you, Johan. Thank you. And as they say, I'm off. And see some of you tomorrow. Mille grazie. Ciao bello. Ciao bello. Tutti. Amici. Amici miei.